Hello, everybody. This is Catholic Dad, episode number 182, Authoritative Hierarchies. This is talking about church structure hierarchy versus military comparison. You know, our Protestant brothers and sisters, they tend to be very good countrymen. They tend to love the military, love the United States of America, and love our country. All these things are good things. But then they realize when to have a good military, you actually have an authoritative structure. You have to have a hierarchy. You need a chain of command. You need people that are in charge. You need people that are willing to serve out of acts of obedience, because that's for the good of the structure. It's good for the order of the military, and it diminishes the amount of chaos within said social order of the United States military. And these very same people, when they talk about their church, they don't want any hierarchy. They don't want any authoritative hierarchy. They don't want people in control. They want the control to be lowered to the lowest possible level, and that it reduces to the absolute lowest level of each individual gets to read the scriptures and decide what is right and wrong based upon their own personal interpretations. Now, just think about it for a second. What if you tried that in the United States military? That you had privates in the field telling the generals what to do, or you had privates in the field telling what the lieutenants to do, what to do. There would be chaos and disorder and fragmentation of the military corps almost immediately. And now, yeah, what do you think's happened ever since we decided that there's no longer an authoritative structure in the church? We've had chaos, which has entered into the Christian communities within the globe. We've had 500 years of this, and it used to be we were all united under one flag, and we all took our marching orders from the Supreme Pontiff. He handed down marching orders based upon faith and morals, and he really gave sovereign nations and countries and countrymen a lot of autonomy over their own personal lives, but the theological order with regards to faith and morals, he was the general, he was the hierarchy. And I find it peculiar that people who can actually look at authoritative structures in terms of military corps can actually look at church structures and say this is unnecessary, we don't need it, and nothing bad will happen. Well, if the military breaks down, then if they didn't have the authoritative hierarchy and authoritative structure, then so would the theological structure of the church. And then you can even go back to the high school football team. What if the water boy is kind of calling plays, and the coach isn't in charge, or like each running back or whatever else got to decide whatever they wanted to do? I'll just run this route, I'll run that route. And it doesn't really make much sense that you'd want to maximize chaos and minimize order within a religious structure. If there's anything that you probably should be militant about, anything that you should probably grasp on hierarchy for, it should be the more important things. And I would argue that God's church is far more important than the United States military. I would also argue that God's church is far more important than high school football, unless, of course, you live in the South. I'm kidding about that, but you see what I'm saying? So if when you deal in your life and you have really important things, you want to maximize the order, and therefore there's a hierarchy. You know, there's structures of authority that people have to follow, even when you don't want to. That's called obedience. That's called chain of command in the United States military, and people will take their orders, and if they don't take their orders, they go to prison in the military. What do they do in the theological world? Well, they form a new church. That's your own personal prison, I suppose, unless you're really, really good at it and you really enjoy it, but that's kind of a prison in its own. It's a theological prison. And eventually you're going to break out and come back to the one true church. And so this is Catholic Dad making you think about it. Please like or subscribe. Get the Mass and pray the daily rosary and live a sacramental life. God bless you all. Take care.